2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 1. Therefore, seeing as we have this ministry, as we have received mercy, we faint not. Hello there. Welcome to Monday Morning Encouragement. If this is your first time, it's just a place we come together once a week to get encouragement, inspiration from the Word to help us get through not only the worst day of the week, Monday, but the rest of the week itself. So without further ado, let's jump into it. I've been reading this book called City of Death by Ephraim Matos, a former Navy SEAL who joined a humanitarian group to provide medical aid to frontline soldiers overseas. And one part of it, they find themselves in a rescue situation. It's the Free Burma Rangers is the name of the group. It was founded by David Eubanks, a former Green Beret Army Ranger Christian. And he has this group of special forces guys and just some medical personnel that he literally goes to the front lines with the Iraqi government and the Iraqi soldiers to help them medically and sometimes physically by fighting the opposing force. It's 2017, Mosul, Iraq, ISIS has taken over, and they are just killing everything that moves. Women, children, men, any age, everything. And so they are on the main street of Mosul. It's about a 100-yard stretch, and there's a wall here and just a pile of dead bodies, and they notice that something's moving in the dead bodies, and it looks like a human being. So David asks the Iraqi general if he can borrow some, personnel and some, tanks and like anything, and basically all he was able to get through a long conversation was one M1A Abrams tank, which is good considering it's one of the World War II tanks you're used to seeing. They were wanting a Humvee, a bulldozer, all kind of stuff, because they have no idea how many people are actually alive, but they know there's at least one. So David, the Navy SEAL, a MARSOC Marine named Sky, a French media reporter, and a interpreter all go walking behind this enemy tank that is headed towards a hospital that is crawling with ISIS. That is not only does it have ISIS, that is their main place they're fighting the Iraqi soldiers from. So there's small arms fire, machine gun fire, mortar fire, RPG fire, grenades. Everything they got is in that building. And here are these 5 little guys behind the tank just walking on down the road just to get what they assume is a person, right? So they take the long walk the whole time. In the book, he talks about, bullets just pinging off of this thing, right? Just and the tank itself is shooting at the building, which is deafening. I couldn't imagine being behind a 60 millimeter tank or whatever size bullet they shoot. And so they finally make it to that portion of the wall where the bodies are, and they see it's a little girl, about 8 years old. She's hanging on to her mother, who has passed away and been there for a couple of days. So the scene is unimaginable. So they say a quick prayer because they pretty much all realize that this could die, because you got the tank here, you've got the wall here, and in between them is nothing but space. And that hospital is right in the middle. So it's a 50-yard stretch near about of sprinting in between ISIS small arms, machine gun, mortar, RPG fire. So long story short, David makes the brave sprint to go save this little girl. While he's over there, he makes it over there, he sees two other people that are alive. So, in a later interview, he said that he could literally feel and see bullets just flying past his face as he's running with this girl in his arms. But miraculously, they didn't get injured. Nobody got shot. Well, Ephraim did get shot on the way back in his leg. But the whole thing is caught on video, by the way. I mean, it's as crazy as it sounds. It's even crazier to literally watch it happening. I'll link it in the description below. But it truly was a miraculous rescue of the greatest kind. And today, I want to talk about where in the world did he get that power to do that, right? And we'll start by going to 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 6. I read verse 1, but I want to jump down to verse 6. For God, who commanded the light to shine out of darkness, has shined in our hearts to give the light of knowledge of the glory of God in the face of Jesus Christ. But we have this treasure in earthen vessels, that the excellency of power may be of God and not of us. We are troubled on every side, yet not distressed. We are perplexed, but not in despair. Persecuted, but not forsaken. We are cast down, but not destroyed. Always bearing about in the body the dying of the Lord Jesus, that the life also of Jesus might be made manifest in our body. You know, the Apostle Paul, who wrote this to the Corinthians, was met with his fair share of persecution. It was different, but all with the same result, death, right? Paul started out allowing the persecution of Stephen, the stoning of Stephen. They laid the clothes at his feet, and then he later on tried to persecute the church. He was on the road to Damascus to go and disrupt the church when Christ intervened and saved him. When he converted, he then became the persecuted. He was beaten, he was thrown in prison, he was stoned, he was in a shipwreck because he was imprisoned, he was in shark-infested water for days. I mean, just anything you can think of. Paul been through it, right? And so he wrote this to the Corinthians while going through all that. So with this type of stuff in mind, that's what he's writing here. The commentary of Matthew Henry says this: their consistent perseverance in their life was declared in verse 1. It said, where we faint not. And the steadfastness was owing to the mercy of God. The best men in the world would faint in the apostles' work and under their burdens if they did not receive mercy from God and the treasure in the earthly vessel of the power of God. Look at verse 8 with me. We are troubled on every side, yet not distressed. We can see help in God and from God. We are perplexed, yet not in despair, knowing that God is able to support us and deliver us. Verse 9. We are persecuted, and yet not forsaken. We are cast down, but not destroyed. Still, they were preserved and kept their heads above water. And sometimes, quite literally, whatever the condition the children of God find themselves in, they have a but not. You like my quotes there? They have a but not to comfort themselves with. We are cast down, but not destroyed. We are confused, but not forsaken, right? What was it that kept the apostles from sinking? That kept David and Ephraim and Sky charging towards the ISIS line of bullets to save one little girl? Faith. Faith kept them from sinking. Faith in God, verse 6. Faith in God, who commanded the light to shine out of the darkness in our hearts, to give the light of the knowledge of the glory of God in the face of Christ. And faith in knowing about the treasure. Verse 7. And faith in knowing that we have this treasure in our earthen vessels, that the excellency of power may be of God and not on us. Today I want to challenge you to lift up your faith and examine it against this week's upcoming events, and ask for the power of God and not of yourselves today to deal with whatever may come. With the excellency of the power of God, who or what can stop you? Not ISIS, not the Pharisees, no evil, Nothing. But you got to have faith. And if you have faith, He'll give you mercy to where you faint not, because you have the excellency of power of God in you. Well, thanks for coming back. If it's your first time, I hope you're fired up with me, ready to get going on today's wonderful adventure. I hope the excellency of power of God remains in you all day, and you're able to conquer whatever is thrown at you today. Like, subscribe, and comment if you have a favorite miracle story you like to tell. I mean, to me, the story of that rescue, I mean, the fact that you can hear about it from a few of the people that were there and watch it, to me, it's like it's the best way to know just every detail of that story. It's phenomenal. So, guys, thanks again. As always, have a blessed day.